Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, December 20th, 2016. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and change. Once again, I'll be in here all week. Dave Biddle is on vacation. So this is my usual Tuesday spot and my usual Tuesday compadre, Duane Long, has joined me. Duane, how are you this fine morning?
Oh man, just looking forward to Christmas. When we hit Christmas week, I'm usually just so focused on Christmas. I mean, I'm real excited.
We're in the same boat. Here's one guy I want to talk about today. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about the coaching staff, Duane, and your opinions on how they've done this year. We have actually spent some time talking about the offense, but the defense, by any measure, has been spectacular. Perhaps the most impressive thing they've done is take an inexperienced group. Let's let people remember here, Ohio State started off this season as the youngest Power 5 team in terms of experience. But what they've done on defense has been nothing short of incredible. A lot of new faces have thrived. Just as an example, a guy like Marshawn Lattimore has gone from a off-injured afterthought to possibly the first corner taken in the draft. But Greg Schiano has made a big impact since he's been here. Now that the season has started to wind down, and there's been a lot of discussion of him possibly being even a candidate for an NFL job. What's your vibe on Schiano, the job he's done here, what it would take for him to leave, etc.?
Defensive backfield, he says it's the best he's ever coached. Well, it's at least one of the best I've ever seen here. I can't remember. I'd probably have to go back to the Cooper years to find a better defensive backfield. You know, even with Damon Webb being a guy that we're, still not convinced about, we got lockdown corners. And Schiano's just made this a better unit. They seem more sound. What I mean is nobody seems to be out of position. We don't see guys, we're saying, where's he going? Where was he? We're just not seeing that. We've become an even better tackling team. So there's so much about him that is just taking it to another level. And here's the thing, Dan, they've gotten better as the season's gone on. By the time the Michigan game rolled around, they were shutting down the run in a way that they weren't earlier in the season. So he's key, and I think I'm worried about all these NFL jobs. I said so on the message boards. He's a guy that chose to go to the NFL when he had Rutgers rolling and there were college jobs coming open, but he chose to go to the NFL. I think he wants to go back to the NFL. And I think we may see 7, maybe 8 NFL jobs open up before the end of the season or after the end of the season. I'm very concerned about that they may come back to him.
So, for those who didn't get a chance to check it out, Schiano did an in-depth interview with Bucknuts. It's on the site right now. It's really interesting, in which he says stuff like Duane mentioned there about how this is the most talented secondary ever. He does the comparison between Ed Reed and does some real good detail on Malik Hooker. But he does answer the questions about going to the pros in that coach-speaky way. Do you think it's a thing here where he would only leave for the end? I'll just say this. I didn't get the vibe during the college process here that Schiano was a threat to leave for a college job. You're saying you think he's just here until the next head coaching job or big gig opens up in the NFL.
That's what I think. I think he will. And here's another thing that aggravates that. I think all the colleges are looking for offensive guys. I don't think they're going after defensive guys. At least right now in this cycle, they didn't, because I don't know how much interest there seemed to be in him. I didn't see it. We didn't hear, we think about him being considered for those jobs, but, didn't happen. One thing that helped us keeping him is Penn State and Notre Dame didn't open up. So, cause I just, people are saying Oregon. I said, he's not going to Oregon. He's not what they're looking for, and I don't think he'd go out there. So, that really helped. And I think what he really wants to do is go back to the NFL, yeah.
I wonder if he'll get another head coaching gig. It did not go that well for him in Tampa. He's kind of viewed, I think, a little bit as an old-school type, which worked great for our defense, but it'd definitely be something to watch. The only positive I can see out of it is that I do think, while it would be a challenge, Urban is in the position now to handpick his successor. Nothing would surprise me in terms of who he could get to replace Schiano. I didn't think he could get someone like that in the first place. Talk about overqualified. So, while it would be tough to lose him, and we will keep an eye out as the jobs start to pop here. And I would agree that the Black Monday in the NFL is usually the biggest outflux, if that's even a word, of coaches you'll ever see. So we'll keep an eye on that. The other thing we've been keeping an eye on is recruiting. It does look like we're going to go another cycle here. I hate to be even slightly negative, without getting the 300X plus plugger, Marvin Wilson, who I had hoped for a while there. He attended the Oklahoma game that the Buckeyes crushed out in Norman. We all heard about that. And he was at the game. I was hoping he might be able to be turned. Now all the crystal balls are flipping him towards LSU. Your thoughts on the big man from Bel Air, Texas?
Well, I just, I'm fatalistic about that. It just seems, fans get excited about a guy. Well, here's the problem. The vast majority of those big guys, the big athletic guys that seems like 300-pounders here are offensive linemen. Down there, they're defensive linemen. In the South, they all seem to come from the South. I'm saying 85, 90% of them come out of the South. And the fact is, players stay home. We go in and we get more than our share of kids from other states. But most of the time, you can go down rosters, just pick one, and look at where the kids are from. You pick the LSU roster. Most of the kids are going to be from the state, and most of the rest are going to be from the region. Kids stay close to home. They stay with what they're familiar with. They're not ready to just pick up and go across the country. Not many kids are ready to do that. And that's what's going to happen. We got a couple of guys coming up in state. I'm trying to remember the 2019 kid. He's really outstanding. He's the only 2019 kid we've offered. His name slips my mind right now. He's a defensive tackle. And we've got Aeneas Williams, Aeneas Hawkins next year. We got to get him. I love the kid, and I think we're going to get him. So when they're close, you've got to try to get them. So it doesn't surprise me that Wilson's now turned. I hate it. I still think we're getting we got a couple of nice tackles coming in. We don't have the 300-pound, 320-pound guy that can sit on the nose and tie up two bodies. But we got some nice tackles. We're going to be all right. But we gotta you gotta go after them, Dan. You gotta try to talk them out of the South. Doesn't happen very often. And then when you they can look to the NFL and see that the schools in the South are producing NFL talent too. So that's not the same draw as like we're seeing with Darnay Holmes. Don't tell me that the guys going last year in the draft has not impacted him, and he's got to be reading about Lattimore, Conley, and Hooker this year. He can get to the NFL from Ohio State. That stuff matters. And it's always going to be a problem with the big guys growing up in the South and the Southern schools producing NFL talent.
Oh, there's no question that the NFL vibe running through the WAC is strong, and I agree with you. It's just hard to get those big fellas out of the South. Speaking of other big topics here, though, I have to say the number one kind of current events argument, meet the press topic of the day, should guys play in bowl games? Leonard Fournette's not playing in the Holiday Bowl. Christian McCaffery has just announced he's not playing in the Sun Bowl. Let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say Ohio State did not make the playoff. Okay, let me say that again. Let's say Ohio State did not make the playoff. I think everyone agrees that McCaffery and Fournette would be playing, barring injury, in a playoff game. But let's say the Buckeyes were in the Rose Bowl, facing off against whoever. and Curtis Samuel said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to play. I'm going to rest my bones, enough tread on the tires. You even see in the interview with Greg Schiano that we referenced, he talks about guys having not had too much tread on their tires when they get to the NFL. So how would you respond if Curtis Samuel, for example, did that? Now, I'm not saying Curtis would ever do that, please, but how would you respond?
I'd be disappointed. Don't quit on your boys. Don't quit on your team. And in particular, these two guys, Fournette and McCaffery, they're the only offense that those two teams have. They wouldn't even be in a bowl game if not for those two guys. Now they've left. You don't do that. You just don't do that. I understand that business decisions have to be made, but I mean, I just can't see doing that. You know, and Zeke Elliott come out and said he couldn't imagine doing that. You act like it doesn't matter. You don't want that be part of that bowl win. You don't want to put that trophy in the trophy case. I just don't understand doing that. I understand why you might think it's smart to do that, but that would be hard overhead for me. I couldn't do that. I'd have to I just wouldn't do that. And I don't like the players doing it. I mean, I understand it in the end. I just don't agree with it, and I wish they wouldn't do that.
It's an interesting topic, especially in light of the Fiesta Bowl last year when Jalen Smith, although he ended up getting drafted in the second round, you know, his future changed drastically after getting popped by Taylor Decker. So I'm not saying I agree with it, but I do definitely understand it. Coming from the perspective of the player, what value does the Holiday Bowl really have? I'm not sure. Leonard Fournette has battled some injuries. He certainly made them enough money back on his name. So I'm not saying I agree with it, but it is one of those cases where if my son were in that position, I think I'd probably support him if he didn't play just because it becomes a financial decision at that point. But me personally, I don't think I would be able to walk away from something like that. What do you guys think, Bucknutters? This is actually a great topic. Let's hear what you got to say. Throw it in the thread below. We appreciate having Duane on. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a great one, Bucknutters.